Thank you for inviting me. And hello from sunny Norway. It's nice to be here. I'm going to bug you a bit about making IP a bit more fun. And as I stated in the front slide, IP is more than IPR and know the name of the game. Now, I don't know what to present, but this is the brief introduction, and you'll have this afterwards in case you send out the slides. So this is just for show and tell. We work with capability building, which is how you work with building the structure of the company and how you do education of people. And for that, we use something called series game. And I'm going to show that in a second. Now, normally, when we are getting presented the realm of intellectual property or intellectual property rights, it feels like death by paragraph. It might be insanely boring, and it might seem really narrowly focused on legal paragraphs and might not feel it's that relevant. But it is way more relevant, and some of the solution is making it more engaging and seeing how it's related to other topics than just the legal elements of IP and IPR. Now, to succeed with IP and to make it a bit more interesting and see how IP and IPR is related to other topics, for example, standards, innovation, business strategy. And at the moment, you move the focus from, well, the pure legal stuff, it seems potentially more relevant. And you can move it to be a more strategical discussions on how all of those different fields engage and interact. So we need to get everybody to the table. Now, that's one way of doing it. But what we do is we try to make it more engaging. We actually create games. We call something called series games. We started out back in 2014. We were supposed to educate innovation champions in Airbus on IP and innovation. And it's getting all those different people with different backgrounds from technical, social science, from finance and so on to co-create and exchange perspectives. They needed something new, something way more interesting. We figured out, let's create a game. And a game might sound interesting, but it needs to be done in the correct manner. Now, what we created, something we call a serious game. And a serious game is an applied game, meaning the purpose of the game is beyond just being fun. It's somewhere where you learn something and you engage people. I'll show you some pictures in a second, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some animations. In a serious game, we do something which is probably better than like right now, just listening to me, but we engage you. So you engage the people on the same table as yourself to, well, present your own perspectives and support your arguments with your existing knowledge. Well, that's what we do with our serious games. So serious games is a really good way of, I would say, engaging people, getting people to understand an advanced topic in their own context. We call it releasing complexity. What you see now on the screen is a game we created for engaging the entire Norwegian innovation ecosystem. And how can we improve the Norwegian innovation ecosystem? So the people in the picture, you could say, is the previous vice president of IP in Philips and the head of the Norwegian IP office. In this game, we put together mixed groups for the purpose of understanding how different groups and different perspectives can reinforce and engage people in improving, well, in this case, the innovation ecosystem in Norway as measured by the Global Innovation Index. And it's a different way of, instead of just listening to, like right now, you're engaging yourself in the topic. You learn something from the game about the topic. You're challenged to solve problems, and then solving those problems as a team, you will be exchanging perspectives, tacit knowledge, and you'll be able to understand who knows what. And after a gameplay, you'll be better equipped to follow up and know who could assist you with different kind of challenges. We've been doing this kind of games for 10 years-ish, and we've been playing around the world for different topics. This is just an example. We've been playing games for pure IP standards. We actually created a game with the University of Belgrade. So I was in Belgrade in the end of March with Ivana Mijasovic. We have created a game for processes, UN sustainability goals, GDPR, but innovation as well. And all the games are created as a way of facilitate exchange perspectives and insights across people. One really essential experience we got while playing all of those games is that the more diversified the teams are, the better the results. So I'm not talking about diversified with regards to background, but also diversified with regards to age, not only men or not only women, but as diversified as possible, because we bring different perspectives. And having a younger person in a team, in a game, makes it also easier for the younger persons to be engaged in a dialogue with the more senior people. I'm going to show you another animation in a second. Now, this is another game. We created this to engage, and this is actually the first game we created. We created a game for training innovation champions, as said in Airbus. And in this game, we wanted people to really understand potential future problems and learn from their colleagues. And in a game, you will now support your arguments with your own insights, and you'll educate your colleagues and be educated by your colleagues, which gives you better outputs. But it's a way more engaging way of learning, and everything you learn is more related to what you do in your normal workday. In this particular game, you can see in the background, and that's why I chose these pictures. They had beer and wine and sushi. And that was this was after an executive management program. And during the game, or actually, we had to stop the game as people got headaches. They got too engaged. They got stuck into the game and played on and exchanged a lot of perspectives in order to learn more and solve more problems. Well, normally, in the same kind of time span, they would have solved one problem. In the game setup, they solved 24 problems. And while doing that in 2 hours, well, that obviously gave them a headache. Now, this is not a kind of game. Now, what I've shown you now is a few different kinds of game. We got what you saw first was a policy kind of game where you're exposed to a lot of different incidents and challenges and insights. And you use those insights and challenges to build your own policy. The second game is a strategy game, which you saw the animation for, where the purpose is engaging people in learning how to extract relevant information, to sort this information out, and then build a strategy jointly as a team. And the game's output relies on the background of the players. And the more, I would say, insightful the players are, the more difficult the game becomes. It makes it way more engaging. There are no boundaries in the game, so there are full openness in the way of being able to strategize and create your own scenarios, which makes it more relevant and interesting. Now, what you see in the screen right now is from a gameplay we did in France with Les France, which is the licensing executive society in France, where we created a game for the purpose of building a technology transfer process. So within this game, they both agreed on what would be the best practices to engage a different part of the organization and how they can use this to innovate, analyze the impact of this innovation, and then how to sell this innovation into the market. And also in this game, as in the others, the more diversified the team, the better. So the teams which were not only seniors, but also younger individuals involved, and where there were mixed teams, not only men and not only women, we got way better results. And that's some of the beauty with serious games. It's a way of engaging people, reduce complexity. It's a way of removing barriers and engage people in the topic instead of listening. It establishes psychological security, meaning people are in a situation where you dare share your expertise because it's a smaller group instead of like right now. Ask a question in the full audience might be difficult. Doing it in a smaller team is more easy. But set up multiple teams like this and then engage in your own team, learning from your team, but at the same learning the same as everybody else is a really efficient way of learning, but way more interesting than, well, being engaged through listening. So just to conclude, using my last minute here. So serious games is a different way of engaging and learning. You are managing your learning process yourself. We're bringing together different backgrounds, people with different backgrounds. We could use it to engage cross-functional teams, where the cross-functional teams solve a cross-functional problem way better than the individual groups. It relies on the expertise of everybody in the group. And everybody in the group will support their argument with their own expertise, and thus we have exchanged a lot of tacit knowledge from the player. Playing multiple games in different groups, every time you will be able to establish what we call a community of practice, where people know more of who knows what in order to engage themselves. Now, I might not sound that fun explaining and talking about this, but being in a game is far more interesting. I think that's what I got time to in my setup, 15 minutes. And I'll just leave the words back to you. And if there's any question, I'm still here.